Welcome to Astrology and Coffee. I'm Julie, and I'm with our guest host today, Amanda, and we've got Elle.
Wait a second. Wait, which side?
We're having a couple technical difficulties this morning, but I'm reminding everyone to go grab your chart at astro.com and come over and ask all the questions.
And don't forget your champagne, because today is astrology and champagne.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like a brunch.
Yes. We can bring coffee too. Coffee's great.
Coffee works too. We're going to spice things up for Virgo today, and we are waiting for the slides. We're just having a little bit of technical difficulties, but we could get started.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we brought in Amanda, our resident fire sign, to mix things up because Virgo's boring. No, she's actually married to a Virgo, so she's got a lot to say.
How do I participate? Can I please participate?
Are we gonna do the fun facts, or do you want me to go through like just some of the signs? What are you feeling today? This is so un-Virgo like, with like no organization, just trying to figure out like what we're gonna do next.
We do have a lot of things, and it's not here yet. I'm just like, anytime now.
Amanda, while we're waiting, how is it being an Aries with a Virgo? Like, how much fun is that relationship? I want to know.
It's fun. I think I annoy him a lot. Like, why is she like this?
It.
But yeah, I'm definitely a lot more high energy. But I think we're a good match. Like, we balance each other out a lot, so it's positive. I have a Capricorn moon, so I'm kind of organized chaos. So I think it works. That. And then he's like a Scorpio rising and moon. So and Scorpios and Aries are like, so
there's like this intense passion with those two. It's like fun, but I think your sun signs kind of level you out. Do you know what your Venus is and his Venus?
Oh God. My Venus is Pisces, so all the feels.
Okay, all the feels. Oh, I bet a Scorpio moon loves that though.
Yeah, and then I can look up his. I should know it, but I don't. But it's funny, like my entire life, I've always kind of had Virgos like around me. Best friend from elementary school, best friend in high school, two best friends from college. My brother, who's also an Aries, is married to a Virgo. And I love her heart. She's awesome.
Ooh, what were your parents?
My dad's an Aries, my poor mother. She had 3 Aries just like running around, and she's a Libra. We always thought she was a Virgo because my grandmother, I guess, got confused. But
those days, like, did a birth certificates were a little.
And my mom's actually in the room right now. She's hanging out with us. She came to visit.
Oh, I love that.
Like, do you do weird astrology stuff with us?
Okay, I do have the slides ready. They're uploading right now. So I just want to remind everyone that we are the Academy of Logic and Light. We are hosting, trying to create a peer-to-peer teaching system. And we have fun videos like this, as well as we're getting started with other classes. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Patreon. If you're like what we're doing, go ahead and support us over there. And yeah, grab your birth charts, come have a seat, and we're talking about Virgos today. So I'm just going to roll a quick intro, and then the slides should be here, and we will be ready to get going.
Thank you.
He's feeling it.
He also wants to be my mom.
Hi, we're back. Don't worry, we're just talking about my cat. No big deal. Okay, we have Virgo.
Yay!
Here you go, Amanda.
Oh, so I have to read the facts? Okay, yeah, very excited. They are reserved, modest, practical, discriminating, industrious, analytical, painstaking, seeking to know and understand. And their birth dates are August 23rd through September 22nd. Oh, some fun Virgo facts. Their duality is feminine. Their triplicity, their element is earth, and their quadruplicity is mutable, which are the serial killer signs.
Everyone knows.
Just saying, just putting that out there.
Fun fact also.
The Virgo ruling planet, Mercury, the ancient god of communication and commerce. Mercury rules intelligence and reason, which that tracks so hard. It really does. And predisposes towards a high, strong temperament. guess it depends on the day. Mercury takes 59 days to rotate, to make one full rotation, but a year on Mercury goes fast because it's the closest planet to the sun, and it goes around the sun in just 88 days, which is why we get so many retrogrades.
Which we all love.
Yeah, it's our favorite time of the year. We can make logic out of all the weird stuff happening when Mercury is in retrograde. At least we have that. More fun facts. Their birthstone is a sapphire, which brings tranquility of the mind and protects against illness and injury while traveling. Oh, well, thank God for that. The symbol is the Virgin, which my husband is not, but representing the purity of motive, modesty, industriousness, and the service of oneself and one's talents towards helping others. The Virgin is usually pictured holding a sheaf of wheat that symbolizes the utilization of ideas to benefit and nourish the world. And I don't even, what's that word?
Glyph.
Glyph? Okay.
I love you.
It didn't work for me. I mean, they put me on it and it did not help. Pictograph represents a virgin, and it's a pictograph of the human reproductive organs closed and untouched. That sounds boring. God, I probably shouldn't have had that training. In symbolistic terms, the glyph is a straight line connected with two curved lines, one of which is crossed, and this represents wisdom tied to the feeling and emotion, crossed by practicality, which is very Virgo-y.
I kind of think that Virgos might be closet free because I have a theory.
Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I never tell.
I love it.
Okay. The metal is gold, and the special colors are navy blue and gray, classic colors of refinement and taste. Also boring. Lucky day is Wednesday, and lucky numbers are 5 and 3.
You know that you have a sign that's like no fun when your day is literally Wednesday. I'm just
on Wednesdays we wear pink.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, not a gray flower. Go ahead.
The flowers are a morning glory and a pansy. Their trees are nut bearing. Their cities are Paris, Boston, Heidelberg, and Strasbourg. And then their countries are Turkey, Greece, Crete, and the West Indies. Very interesting.
I love that you couldn't pronounce glyph, but Strasbourg.
I can say it in second native tongue.
I was going to say, you can put a little accent on there.
She speaks a little German.
In my head, I'm German.
I love that. Your alter ego.
It is. It really is. Actually, it was Russian.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think mine's Russian. Yeah, I like that. All right. Well, thanks, guys, for the fun facts. I'm going to go through the planets. Fun Virgos. I actually want to say I have girlfriends that I have been best friends with forever, and they're Virgos, but I think they have fire in their top 3. One of them I know for sure is an Aries rising and a Cancer moon, and she is so fun. So we poke about Virgos being boring, but they can be, depending on how their chart is made up, they can be some of the funnest, wittiest, quickest, comebacks that you've ever heard in your entire life.
Sure.
No, it's funny. I have a Virgo, and her motto is, let's get one more drink on our way to get one more drink.
That's exactly how one of my best friends is. She's the party animal, but within reason, right? She's not too crazy to where she doesn't have her shit together. She definitely has her shit together. We kind of every time we get together, I swear it's we can go years without seeing each other. She lives in Dallas. I live in Utah. And so we get together and it's just instant vibing, but it's always business. It's always something to do with creating something financially or organizing something. My background is commercial real estate. Hers is marketing. So together we just explode with oh my gosh, I need this and that. And she's more new age, high tech things than I am because I'm slow, but she is very she's just oh my God, there's this and there's this marketing tool and this and that. You should try this. And I'm just wow. I don't know. She's so inspiring to be around. And I have a few friends that are like that. It's the same exact thing. We go years without seeing each other. We see each other We're driven by business. We love talking like success things, success stories. It's a lot of fun. So she has a lot of fun things in her chart. So if you are like, I am a fun Virgo, damn it, you probably have things in your chart that make you more fun. Because the typical Virgo, so a Virgo sun, in a nutshell, they're very organized. They're consistent. They're punctual. These are very type A personalities. They are on their shit, which is really good. We need that, right? We need people that can kind of run the things behind the scenes and make sure that we all show up. Clearly, none of us are Virgos today because you saw the shit show you kind of came into on the live. We were not prepared. We were not ready. Not it. So, we maybe, if you're a Virgo astrologer out there and you want to join our little team, we probably could use you in some areas. I'm just saying.
We need you.
Yeah. Help. No. So that's kind of some fun things about a Virgo sun. They have a lot of really great qualities. I mean, some of the things that aren't so favorable is just that they can be so in their heads about how things need to be perfect that they can like stress themselves out majorly. I mean, they're very high strung. So learning to kind of relax and accept things sometimes that aren't perfect, try to find the beauty in like imperfections, because it can literally cause you to have a heart attack if you over stress about things not being perfect. So Virgo suns, keep that in mind. Virgo moons, this placement's a little different. So these people are service oriented. So the moon is like how you feel, and Virgo is not a feeler. They are a thinker. They're practical. There is reason behind thought. When you have a Virgo moon, it's harder to feel emotions. It's more of like, well, what's logical about this? This isn't very logical. Let's think about this instead of feeling about it. So this isn't one of my top favorite placements to have your moon in Virgo, but I mean, it does give you room for growth, and try to like dig into the depths of your soul and find warmth, because a Virgo moon can be very cold. They can be very shut off emotionally. They can be so in their heads with practicality that they don't even really embellish like feeling things. So try to let that in. Try to let feelings. They're not all bad. It's good to work through things. They are good with like change. They can be flexible. So I do see like a lot of growth and involvement with Virgo moons. I just think that it takes time, and they have to kind of like go through life a little bit. So that's what I have for Virgo moon. Virgo Mercuries are very direct. They are straight to the point. No real like fluffy, like, hey, you kind of messed up on this project. Maybe next time do better. You fucking suck. You need to get your life together, organize your shit, and do the job better next time. That is a Virgo Mercury. I'm just saying. It's okay. Because, they work really well with like Capricorns and Taurus, they can take that. Aries can take that. You've got a hard exterior. You're like, you know what? You suck. And maybe you should just do it next time, right?
Actually, I'd like to see you try.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good. They do have great qualities, and they are a Virgo Mercury. They just have to maybe put a little tact in there, kind of make it just a little more kind. A Virgo Venus. This one's hard. This one is like, if I could pick any Venus to not have, it would be Virgo, for many reasons. I'm a Virgo Venus, so I can say this when I tell you like I'm so stupid picky about the wrong things. It's like in relationships, I have such expectations. I've kind of evolved out of this as I've gotten older, but I've had these weird expectations. Like I broke up with a guy in my 20s because I really saw a receding hairline. And I was like, nope, his hair is going to be gone. His hair is going to be gone by the time he's 25. I can't do it. And I'm just like, that's so stupid, because he probably would have been really great and treated me great, but I didn't care about that. I cared about, and I have a Libra sun, so there's that that superficial thing about me.
Cold is beautiful.
Yeah, right. But it can be really hard to have a Virgo Venus. It's just like they can be very critical in relationships. I have learned to really like look at my relationships and reflect on things. But sometimes I'm like, the way you're doing that's really stupid. You're just not doing it right. Or it's like, I have these things and it's mostly in relationships. And I'm just like, my husband is a Taurus Venus. So my Virgo Venus, we do things very practical and very like we mesh so well. I can't even express, like there's never been a time where I'm like, I don't think this is going to work. Every relationship I've ever been with, I'm like, I don't see this lasting too long, every single one. And so I'm like, I gotta evolve out of that and work through that.
Good morning, everybody.
Oh, hi.
This whole day of technical difficulties.
And we're not even in retrograde.
The burgers are gonna be so mad.
I know, even my phone's been glitching. Like I keep looking, I'm like, what is Mercury doing?
I was like, is Mercury in retrograde? Is something happening?
Oh, okay.
We're back.
We're back.
Remix.
Maybe we shouldn't drink and do astrology lives. Next week, guys, we're going back to coffee.
We said Virgos are boring. Let's do alcohol. Just can't do a live stream.
Wasn't it? Anyways, Virgo Venus, hard placement. But if you can evolve through it and kind of like look at relationships as a relationship and not as this person that you're critiquing to be this perfect marriage partner, then it'll be beautiful for you. It's just a hard placement. Mars in Virgo. These people are, again, very practical. Everything Virgo is practical, but they take action very practical. Like the building is, I always refer to like on fire. I have a Sagittarius rising, so I have a lot of fire that I like to express things with. But I'm going to go back to that expression. The building could be on fire. Instead of like reacting and being crazy and like running around like a chicken with their head cut off, a Virgo Mars was like, okay, we're going to need 3.5 million gallons of water to put this out. And we're going to need approximately testing like the winds. Okay, it's going to need to come from this direction, down this way. I mean, those are the people that are going to really like take the emotion out of things. Like there's people in the building, there's this, they're really getting the facts down. They're calculating. Huh?
They should be surgeons, people who are working like medical emergencies.
Listen, a Virgo sun in the 6th house, that is their career 1000%. Like I
want to be stuck on a desert island with,
because they're not fun.
You want them part of the group. You may not only want that energy, but you want them there.
Yeah, that would get old real fast.
They'd also ferment things really quickly, so that's important when you're stuck on a desert island.
Yeah,
you need alcohol. You need something to drink while you're stuck on that beach.
And those are gonna do it.
Yes. But that's kind of just the generalization of like a Virgo Mars. Practical, very like calculated in how they approach things. It's just kind of, I don't know, just kind of flows. My Virgo I have a Mars. So I have a Mars Venus, or a Virgo Venus and a Virgo Mars. So I have that like double thing. And sometimes, like it's not in my makeup, I have a Taurus moon, but I have this like stick up my ass kind of personality sometimes. I don't mean to. Like I try to be very like light and free and fun, but sometimes in like certain settings I do find myself being really stiff and like, oh hi, nice to meet you. And it's very cold and I feel like my Virgo Mars does kind of like, I feel it sometimes in certain like business settings. Like there's people that are like, oh, they're so fun, and they're like, oh, I'm like, I strive to be like that, but I'm just not. I'm not that fun in those settings. Like I'm very like uptight and like, oh, well, I'm sorry that your dog died. And then I'm like walking away awkwardly, like I just don't have that thing. And I wish I did, but I don't. So Virgo rising. These are, again, perfectionist, but they come off as very perfect, and they may not be. So one of the things with Virgos is I've found a lot of people that know Virgos are like, oh, well, but the Virgo I know is very messy. And here's what happens. When you have a Virgo placement, especially a rising, you come off a certain way. You're so internally like stressed about everything that everything just gets away from you. And so I've seen a lot of Virgo risings be very, like ascendants, be very messy because everything is so overwhelming and they can't control everything, and that they look well put together, but it kind of like offsets their whole chart and creates like a messy person. They're not tidy. Yeah, it's very interesting how they come across and this image that's so important to them, because your rising is how you see the world and how people see you. So you want people to see you very organized, but the stress of all of it, depending on what your other planets are, if you have a strong earth, chart, it may not be that way. But if you have a lot of air or a lot of fire, I've seen some of the messiest, grossest people be Virgo risings, and it's because of so many things in their chart really mess them up, and it causes them to just not even be able to handle it. They're just like, well, the house is a mess, the dog's here, the pooped over there, this is there, whatever. They can't handle it, and it causes this
like a paralyzation.
Exactly. Like they can't move. They're just so stressed. So if you are a Virgo rising and you do have a lot of earth placements, good for you, because you probably can't relate to this. But if you don't and you do relate to this, or if you have a Virgo sun and a lot of other airy or fiery placements, you're like, I'm not organized at all. I wish I was, but I suck. Just remember that like you can work through that. You're just going to have to learn to let things go and just stay on task, because they get so overwhelmed with all these tasks and having it ordered and exactly the way that they need it to be, and their need to control just kind of like ruins them. So don't be ruined by your own inner controlling nature, because you're meant to live life and have fun.
Important life lesson.
Yes. So that's the planets in Virgo. We'll go through the houses.
Oops.
Maybe we'll go.
Guess he doesn't want to stop with the technicals. All right.
It's like Mercury, too much Mercury energy with Virgo right now.
Yeah.
The Virgos that are watching, their eyes are twitching like, oh, they can't get their shit together.
And he's probably just like, why can't they get a simple PowerPoint?
These stupid blondes and their astrology. That was a comment last week from, I'm assuming, a Leo. But
yeah, that was my favorite.
not part of the whole thing.
I'm assuming.
That's hilarious.
We'll get it together one day. All right. So when you have your Virgo in the first house, these people are reserved. They're very critical of themselves. So instead of so much being critical of other people, in the first house, it's all about self. They're very critical of themselves, which in this sense can be really good, because Virgo can handle that in the first house. These are probably people that are really fit. They're very strict with their diet. Health is very important to them. I haven't really touched on that yet, but health with Virgos are very important, because they do, they want to be able to nourish their body. They're not super huge in junk food, things like that, typically. But so a Virgo in the first house, this person's really serious about their health, being, in charge of themselves, critical of themselves, always wanting to be great. So a lot of really good athlete placement, I would say, for Virgo, because they are resilient, like they push through, they're very strong. And in the first house, it's a very active house, so they want to be active. So Virgo in the second house, very practical. Their things are their things. They worked hard for their things. Those are their things, and no one else's things. And that's what they care about, are things. Period. The end. Third house. Moving along. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But that is, they are very, they do love a tidy home. They love to just have their space. They're not real entertainers. They don't want a lot of people in their house. They like their stuff, their house. It's probably like their family, and that's it. And that's all they want to do, is be in their home with their things. Virgo in the third house. This gives a Virgo a little lighter energy, because the third house is ruled by Gemini. Gemini is fun, but they're both ruled by Mercury. So when Gemini, the third house, and Virgo, Mercury ruled, they kind of combine together. This makes a great communicator. Very straight, very to the point. I would say, with it being in the third house, not as ruthless, that's the best way I can put that, as a Virgo in the sixth house communicator. So the way they communicate has a little more lightness, a little more playfulness to them, makes them a little more fun. So if you have a Virgo in the 3rd house, you might be a little more fun than a Virgo in the 6th house because you're bringing that Gemini energy. Just keep that in mind to be maybe, have your shit together because this can be a little messy area too. Virgo in the 4th house. So these are clean, organized homes. These Virgos love their home. It's kind of similar to the 2nd house. They have their possessions that they love. This one is like control of the home. The kids need to be tidy. They need to be bathed. They need to be well behaved. They need to sit up straight in school, and their wives need to be perfect. Period.
So their wives?
Yeah. Or husbands. Or husbands. I was thinking of the male version of Virgo sun in the 4th house, but husbands as well. The husband needs to go to work. He needs to provide, and he needs to be in a suit and a tie and very professional. And the wife could be the same energy. She needs to probably work too, because Virgos are not like, oh, I want a homesteader that stays home and takes care of the kids. No, you make money too. We need to put our money together and save as much as we can, because when we die, we can take it all with us. Nobody is getting it. It's ours. We worked for it, not them. Virgo in the 5th house. This is a perfectionist in their craft. So I think of like when I go to a bar and this person is making like a mixologist, and they're doing just the cool tricks and they're putting all the things together. And I'm like, when's your birthday? And they say Virgo. And I'm like, not really what I would peg for a bartender. But I think of it in the 5th house because it's fun and it's creative and they get to do things, but it's also calculated, right? Like you can't mix a gin drink with like beer or something. I don't even know yeah, exactly. It's disgusting. You can't mix certain like liquors or liqueurs with certain alcohols. It doesn't mix, but there's this kind of like way about it that it's like calculated, but there's like this whole creativity and how you do it. You make the smoke. It's entertaining. They're kind of like the center of attention, which Virgos don't necessarily like, but a Virgo sun in the 5th house it brings kind of that energy out. So that's a probably really good example of how a Virgo in the 5th house would want to be portrayed. Not so much like on stage in the center of like everything, but entertaining and doing things for people, but also like making it art and creative and being creative. This is a real big placement for like being creative. This is someone good for like teacher roles. Again, like they're the center of attention for the class. They're teaching. It's really giving them this like fueling their energy, their fire to like be productive and be at the front of the class, but also like put their spin on it in kind of like this nurturing kind of way of like teaching, being creative. And when I say teaching, I mean like younger, like grade school levels. I don't see this so much as like a high school professor, college or anything, more like something that you can be creative. Like, okay, kids, we're going to make volcanoes. What is that?
This is all of my friends' birth charts in a notebook, so I can understand them better.
I got my phone a couple times to be like, wait a minute, I need to see something. I have like charts on Cafe Astrology. Not Cafe Astrology.
I love it. I do that all the time. I'm like, wait, what house is there sun in? But yes, no. Fun times. So Virgo in the 6th house. So the 6th house is ruled by Virgo. So this is kind of like home, sweet home for Virgo. This is like comfort. They're true to who they are through and through. Perfectionist, organized. These are the surgeons we were talking about in mad chaos. Things are going on. They can take the emotional feelings out of it and do whatever it is they need to do and not be emotionally involved. So there's a really good advantage to having your sun in the 6th house. Like when I was saying the Virgo in the 3rd house is like a little more light, a little more fun. This is not as light and fun. This is more serious. They're very straight to the point, and there's a lack of playfulness there. But, sometimes certain circumstances, you need that. You need someone that's going to be very serious and not as playful and not as loosey-goosey, to say. Virgo in the 7th house. practical in relationships. Seventh house rules relationships. They are very committed. These people, once they commit, they are with that person and they don't stray. This is not a sign of someone. Virgo in itself is not a sign that typically strays. But in the seventh house, they really are committed to relationships.
Add that to your mouth.
She's like, yes. No, just because they are so, it takes a lot. I don't know how long it took for you and your husband to like become a thing. A lot of times you have to be friends first.
Well, it was COVID. Well, we had it took a minute because I was gone traveling a ton, but then COVID happened and it kind of made us swim and we didn't sink. And so I think we would have taken longer to get engaged and everything, but COVID kind of pushed us together. We moved in after 9 months.
I love that.
And I'm not that type of person at all.
You're like, that was rare for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they are. They're good partners to have. They're very consistent, reliable. They can be uptight and high strung, but you might need that. Some people need that. And it's good for a marriage, for a family to have the person in charge and organizing things, because I do have a feeling though, you're just as equally in charge being an Aries, but you guys control different things. Like you probably enjoy being in charge of different things that he likes to be in charge of. So it really balances.
If it's technology, I literally hand it to him and go fix this.
You're ruled by Mercury. I am not.
I don't know. I'm going to cry. I'm confused.
Yeah. My husband's a Gemini, also ruled by Mercury. He's my IT guy. I'm like, here, you handle this. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. It won't scroll. And he's like, just put 2 fingers on the thing. I'm like, oh, amazing.
He weirdly does all of our grocery shopping. It's kind of funny. He's the one that goes to the store and buys our things. Every now and again I'll go, but I'm also not home as much for my job. So
yeah, he's like, I will handle the list. You do what you do. I'm doing this. I love that. Well, a seventh house, it gives them, a real knack for relationships. They can be very critical in relationships. A Virgo in the seventh house, very picky already, but kind of the perfect partner is what they strive for, which sometimes we all know is probably not going to happen. But a lot of them evolve through that and transition into okay, well, they're the most perfect so far. So that's nice. Virgo in the 8th house. This gives such a different intensity to Virgo. Virgos, I wouldn't say are super intense, but when they have the placement in the 8th house, it does give them this kind of intense kind of energy. I see a lot of Virgos with the dark lipstick and the dark, eyeshadow, black clothing. I'm like, you must be an 8th house Virgo or some 8th house going there. Because their aesthetic is very dark. And Virgo is not a light energy, but it's not Scorpio heavy black energy. So I always find that Virgo's suns in the 8th house, they're just darker. And they do take communication very serious. They're the people that if you're just rambling about something, do not ramble to a Virgo at any time, but especially one in the 8th house, because they're just going to be like, is there a reason for this conversation? They're going to say it just like that. And they're just going to be so in them.
Scorpio?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So, yeah, because Libra, then Scorpio. So 7th house Libra and then 8th house Scorpio. But yeah, so that gives it just kind of a different energy. So, yeah, that's the Capricorn in the 8th house.
That's my cue.
I'm like, it's fine. I can go off of these. I just don't know. I don't want to go for people who can't see it, especially the Virgos. They need to
You wrote them. You know what they say.
Yes. Virgo in the 9th house. So this is a fun placement. So when you take a Virgo and you give it Sagittarius, so the 9th house is Sagittarius energy, right? It's ruled by Sagittarius. When you take those 2 energies and you combine them, it's a time for real heavy investigations. These people dive deep into the facts. So when I think of a Sagittarius, going down the rabbit hole of information, oh my God, aliens are real. And they're going through and they all these things are happening and they're just taking it in, right? A Virgo is like that, but down the rabbit hole, it looks a little different. They're oh, this happened in 1971. Aliens were spotted here. But then they check the facts and they're like, actually, that was 1980. Disregard that. Not incorrect. And then they go to the next thing. So they're really like going down the rabbit hole, but anything that doesn't check out or that doesn't make sense to them, they just completely disregard it and they're on down to the next thing. Where Sagittarius kind of allows all the things and doesn't check facts. And then they're like, oh, all these things. And someone's like, no, actually, they weren't spotted on the moon and it didn't have, so, but you don't catch Virgos up on that because they've already checked all the facts. So this is kind of a really good placement for people that like to study, like to research. A lot of these placements probably don't really, I would say some believe in astrology, some may not because they're like, no. But I think if you really dive into it and you look at the different cultures that use astrology and birth charts for marrying off their children or having children, or there's a lot of cultures that use astrology. I think that once they get into like those sort of facts, but overall just like, oh, my sun sign is this. Oh, that's stupid. Like, they just don't really embellish with the astrology in this placement from my discoveries. But I think if they looked further into it, which some of them do, some of them are like, nah, then they will find that there are some real facts there and that it could be very insightful. 10th house Virgo. This is like a really good placement for a Virgo sun. Virgo wants to be, organized, all these things that we've talked about, perfectionist. But when you have that in the 10th house of career, which is ruled by Capricorn, they thrive. These are like CEOs, business owners, partners that are so efficient in their work that they are like, you can't ever be like, oh, well, this was incorrect. You don't ever say that to a Virgo in the 10th house because they've done everything. They've checked everything. They have the facts. It's all correct. Analytical things in businesses, financials, accounting, these are really strong areas for this placement. These people are just so attention to detail and structured and consistent that it's like, these are the people you want in your accounting department, in your financial department. You want them looking at analytics, asset management, really good thing, because there's a lot of different things when you are looking at like things and assets, right? And so it's like they think of everything and they find everything and they have the facts and they just really have it organized and it's beautiful. And this is a really great placement for someone in business. Virgo in the 11th house. You ready? This is your hubby. His little Virgo sun in the 11th house. These people are friends people. And I know we talked about like maybe your husband doesn't have a ton of friends, but the friends that he has, he loves and he enjoys and he holds them dearly to his heart. Like those are his people. And Virgo's not a super like out there, let's go make new friends tonight kind of personality. No, absolutely not. They don't care. New friends, bad news, too much drama. Typically, they're not interested. But these are like childhood friends, right? This is an area where you grow up with people and you kind of hold on and value those friendships. These are also people that a sense of community sometimes, like a service. They do find that they get fulfillment in helping others, helping a community. There is this like soft spot in this little Virgo heart. Also can be a dick though, because that Aquarius energy, Aquarius and Virgo together are kind of a recipe for like bluntness, very independent. They're very independent. They don't need a lot of people. They just need sometimes to be in a community, help, do things, but also like their alone time and can be very independent. So that is a Virgo in the 11th house. A Virgo in the 12th house. I always like 12th house placements because the 12th house is so, like I can always say this, it's so far out there. It's so mystical. It's like just out there. And so Virgo, having it all together, having all the things, this is also its polarity placement, right? Like Pisces and Virgo are polarities. Pisces rules the 12th house, and it's in a house of complete opposite. So instead of having this detailed, oriented, organized, perfectionist, you kind of get a little messy here. You can be a little more free. If the placement of the Virgo and the rising doesn't have a lot of air, but they're still kind of messy. I look at see if their sun is in the 12th house, because this is like then who they are going against who they are. What their sun sign is and the house that it's in are completely different. Like, oh, let's be organized and let's go with the flow is kind of the energy here, and it can be conflicting. It can be really hard on the sun sign, actually, if you feel and you are this way, but you also like have these tendencies to be like messy and just aloof, then it can be hard. But these Virgos have good intuition. These Virgos can trust their intuition. They can be really good in business based off the fact that they have who they are being a Virgo organized, but they also have that extra little like, I have a feeling this is going to be a good business move, or I have a feeling this partner may not have the best intentions. Like this Virgo has really good intuition and really understands, like hopefully understands that they don't have to be perfect. I would say this would be the meeting in the middle where it's like, okay, I can do good and be okay with not being perfect and like let that roll off my back versus like high strung stress Virgo. So that is Virgo in all the houses and the planets that we go through. Hopefully that makes sense and resonates. And yeah, I'll give it back to you guys.
Was it time for me to read things again?
Yes.
Let's see if I got this up. So Virgos are the servant, the martyr, the perfectionist, and the analyzer. On their high road, they're analytical, methodical, very precise, and do selfless service. When they're not so great on their low road, they're critical. They're a hypochondriac. They're shrewd, and they're very picky. I lived through COVID with a Virgo.
I know.
Hand sanitizer did you go through?
We had so much hand sanitizer. We still have it.
Oh my gosh.
We have so much. If you need hand sanitizer, please come to my house and get it. DM me.
He was like ordering all of it before it was like even out, and he was like, oh, thank God.
we got industrial size ones, and I'm like, are we like, what? Why?
Are we going to be practicing surgery?
And then he had it in his office. My favorite part is he was working from home, and he had it in his office, and he would like hand sanitize. And I'm like, me and you were the only ones home. I couldn't work. I'm a flight attendant, so we didn't go anywhere or do anything. He like, hand sanitize the computer. Like, we haven't left.
Was he terrified during COVID?
He's not happy with me.
Was he terrified during COVID?
What?
Was he like really terrified of COVID in the beginning? Not now, but like, was he like?
He wasn't like, oh my God, we're all going to die. But he was just really logical about it. It was like, we need to have all these things. He found a way to get us toilet paper from a janitorial supply company. Because he was so toilet paper. So it was really nice. And then I think we ended up giving you guys some.
No, I had my own stash.
And maybe it was one of our other friends. It was somebody got toilet paper from us because they were like, oh, how'd you guys find this bulk thing of toilet paper? I'm like, Kevin.
He knows some people.
He was a lot more mindful than I was, for sure, with it. I mean, yeah. I was mindful, but I was like, we could go out to dinner and be fine.
We'll just wear a mask. Jeez, and take our hand sanitizer that we have 1,000 cases of.
Yeah. But anyway, so back to Virgo and all Virgos and not just my Virgo. Polarity is Pisces, which makes a lot of sense. Their life lessons are the difference between judgment and perception, an open heart, and to keep criticism to a minimum. Their esoteric purity of thought, mind, and body, accurate perception, and connection to Mother Mary and the Gaia. I know Gaia because that's Armin van Buuren's.
I just didn't want you to be embarrassed live, just in case.
Oh, and Virgo rules the nervous system, which really tracks at your brain. Mm-hmm. And the intestines. Interesting.
Which is all their stress.
Eating up inside of them.
So we actually have a video today from Kat. She's our, what do we call her? Body worker?
Yeah.
And she has some exercises and moves for Virgos.
Okay. For Virgo are the nervous system and the intestines. Let's start with the nervous system. One of the best ways to regulate your nervous system is through breath work. There are people far more qualified and skilled than I am to lead you through breath work, but I do know a few practices. So let's just take a moment and walk through them and try to regulate our nervous systems. One of the most common and best ways is through square breathing. Some people call it circular breathing, but it is basically where you trace a square, breathing in, holding, out, holding, breathing in, holding, out, holding, breathing in, holding, out, holding. My favorite, and I'm not sure where I learned this, but I do know that when you out breathe for longer than you in breathe, it naturally relaxes your body. It tricks your brain into thinking that you're safe because you can exhale more than you're inhaling. So this is a practice that I like to use when I'm feeling anxious or like I need to regulate my nervous system, where I will breathe in for a count and then exhale for the same count plus one. So for example, in for 4, out for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I build on that. So now I'll go in for 5, out for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In for 6. Out for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In for 7. Out for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In for 8. Out for 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In for 9. Really expand your lungs and your belly. Out for 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'll usually go from 1 all the way up to 10. And by the time you reach 10, you will notice a marked improvement in your level of anxiety and your nervous system. Moving on to the intestines. The best way to regulate your intestines is by what you eat, making sure that you are getting plenty of protein, nutrients, and fiber. A lot of people forget to include fiber in your diet. Your intestines need fiber to stay healthy, to stay viable, to stay clean. That is the sole purpose of intestines, is to rid the body of waste, of toxins. We need to support our intestines to make sure that we are cleaning out all the junk. Gross. So making sure that you're taking care of your body from the inside is always critical. From the outside, you can do a visceral intestinal massage. Most of our critical organs live inside the rib cage. I think that when we're little, we tend to think that the rib cage is like our lungs take up the whole sides and our heart's in the middle, and then all of our other guts are down here. That's not true. Most of our critical organs reside within the rib cage. Lungs are high, heart's high, stomach, pancreas, spleen, even our kidneys on the backside are within the rib cage. So most of your belly part, unless you're a woman, you have your ovaries and your uterus, but most of the belly part is intestines. We have a lot of intestines wrapped up in there. So it is important to make sure that we're taking care of them. If you want to do a visceral intestinal massage, your lower intestines are kind of wrapped, and then they meet with your large intestines and go around and down and out. So if you just rub kind of back and forth, not too much pressure, it shouldn't hurt. It should just feel like a nice little tummy rub, like someone rubbing on your tummy. All the way up, all the way down. Just kind of give them some love. And then from the top of your hip bone up to your rib cage, across and down and back across. You're going to want to start on your right side, up, across, down the left side, and over. This is the way that your intestines wrap on the inside. You don't want to go backwards because you don't want to be pushing things back in. You want to be pushing things out. So start on the right side, hip bone, up to the rib, across, down to the hip bone, across. Just to the middle. You don't have to go all the way across on the bottom part. To the middle. Again, hip bone to the ribs, across, down, over. Doesn't need to be hard, just a little visceral massage. Let's take care of our bodies so our bodies can take care of us. See you next week.
Yay! Thank you, Kat.
It was fun.
Okay. Sorry, I'm running these things. All right. And there. All right. And then we have some comments. This one made me laugh.
My son is a Virgo moon. We lost our cat the other day, and he said, well, I guess we need a new cat. Yeah, that is, I mean, it's so practical. Like, well, that cat died. I guess we need to get another one. You know, he loved the cat, obviously. He just, you know,
Cat-shaped hole he's got to fill.
I feel like that kid has like ESP with the cat, or has ESP with the cat.
Oh, yeah. Belle's whole family is water signs, and she's about to give birth to water sign twins.
Oh, my gosh.
Her entire family's Cancers and Pisces, and it's all the good feelings. All the good feelings.
That's crazy. But you know what? Like, I have a little neighbor family that they have all 3 fire sign kids, water, sorry. And they're vibing. They're just so chill, and I don't know, it's kind of nice. But they're all vibe together.
But then you give Belle alcohol.
Oh yeah,
when
she's a Leo rising.
She's a Leo rising, and we call it Belle after dark. And it's the most adorable thing. And there'll be times like we will be out, and I'll be like, we have to go home.
It's time to go.
Home.
But Pisces too. Pisces are a lot of fun. Pisces suns, they could be very careless and kind of reckless, and in the best kind of way.
It's fun. It's so much fun. We always
I have a lot of Pisces girlfriends. I adore them.
Always have a good time.
We've got a question from a well-armed witch. Any advice for a Virgo sun with moon in Pisces?
Ooh, Virgo sun with that is so polarities. Who you are and how you feel are complete opposites. But it's kind of nice because a moon in Pisces is a feeler. They can be very emotional. And then you have this practical side of you that's like, okay, let's unpack this for a minute. Like, we have all these feelings, big emotions, but let's like look at the reality of it. So it's kind of nice to have that. A lot of times, like I talk about my sister a lot in these because she's an Aries moon and a Aries sun and a Pisces moon. She has this like fire intensity with her Pisces moon that like kind of makes it like very warrior childlike. A Virgo sun with a Pisces moon is very, like emotional, but like processes it and really thinks about it. Doesn't explode about it. Just like, okay, let's get to the bottom of this. And that's not a bad thing to have your sun in Virgo and your moon in Pisces. It kind of like flows nicely. It's an advantage. You feel and you're practical. So that's always good.
That's a good one. I don't have any Virgo in my chart.
No, I have a lot of Virgo.
But like I'm a Libra moon 0, so it's coming out of the Virgo. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. So this life, when you start at 0 degrees, it's so important. It's so big because, and not to go too far into because the degrees is something we'll cover, but when you start, if you anywhere in your chart, if you see 0 degrees, you really need to hone in on that, because you're about to evolve through this life and go through all the things of evolution through 0 to 30. And so it's kind of one of those things. It's like you're brand new to a Libra moon. You're brand new to being indecisive about your feelings. That's new to you, and you have to figure that out. That's hard.
Acknowledge feelings. It's so much easier that way.
Yeah, they're stupid. Who needs feelings? Emotions? No, thank you. So that's your Capricorn sun too. So yeah, that's a big one. I have a fun story. So I am married now, and my ex, their fathers have the exact same birthday, the exact same year.
Oh, wow.
And they are so similar. But the men that they raised, very different. Very, very different. So it's really interesting to see like how you can have like all these placements, and then to see like what kind of children they produce and how they raise them through the same strict parenting style, how one goes one way and the other goes the opposite. It's really cool. It's just part of my study, but really cool.
Very cool.
All right. Our next question is, what about Jupiter in the first house in Virgo? So let's see. Jupiter is all about your luck and all about how you perceive luck, and how, this whole Jupiter's a really positive energy. So when you have a Virgo Jupiter, it makes you very practical in how you handle your, like, how to explain this. When something good happens to you, some people are like, oh, it's fate. You're more like, let's think about this. How did this good thing happen in my life? You're skeptical, right? And it's in the first house of self. So there's a lot of just try to accept things and let things come to you good. That way it's not like you don't have to be skeptical of good things that happen to you. Just kind of roll with them. Be happy about them. Let them, and don't try to tweak it or perfect it, just let it roll in as it is. My mom was a Virgo and I'm a Pisces. We had some rough times. Well, yeah, you guys are polarities. You're probably more organized, and she might have just been kind of a mess. And not all Pisces are a mess. Like, Pisces are really good, like, family matters. They always have good credit. I've never met a Pisces woman, feminine energy, with bad credit. So if you're out there and you have bad credit, let me know, because they handle their finances and their things very well. So if your mom had bad credit, I would like to know, because this conducts to my research. But it's hard for a Virgo, because you guys need structure and you need consistency, and Pisces sometimes don't have that.
Plot twist, she had bad credit.
She did have bad credit. See, every time this, because you have a Virgo sun and a Pisces moon, and I was like, Pisces moons, I always find have a disconnect from the father, even though the moon is the mother. I know that, but I'm just saying that 9 times out of 10, a Pisces moon lacks that father figure in their life, or it's really hard, or there's like a strain on it. And she was the one that was like, no, we have a great relationship. So you are so good for my research. Oh, but her mom was super organized in other ways, though. Yeah, she may have had, depending on her chart, but I don't know. Anytime polarities are, it can be really good and it can be really bad. I'm sure you guys are probably close now, or at some point we're close, and you will become close, because you kind of come together in understanding one another, that you both are very different. But a Pisces and a Virgo, it can be very challenging, because you guys one's very organized and one is not. One is very like, it needs to be this way with a schedule, and one's like, well, we'll see what the day brings. So it just kind of, it has those differences that can be very, very challenging, for sure.
All right. Well, I think that's all that we have this week. And next week is Libra, right?
Yes. Yep.
So many good Libras.
Yes. So sweet, so tactful.
I'll be traveling, so I'm not exactly sure where I'll be, but I'll keep everyone updated. Also, if you liked Amanda's energy as our guest host today, you can find her at Beats by Halo on Instagram.
I'll be back.
We'll be back.
I'm going to show up. I'm going to come back. I want to come back for Capricorn.
Oh, no.
Yes.
No, thank you.
Fine, can I come back?
They're all the secrets. Capricorn's like, no, none of my secrets, but yes.
Yeah, you can't have your best friend show up to the Capricorn. I got to keep things to myself.
I'm a Capricorn moon, so it's important.
Okay. Thank you, Elle.
Thank you guys. Megan, it was awesome hanging out with everybody today.
Yes, thanks for joining us. You were great.
You were too. I love you. Even though I haven't met you yet. Tomorrow, maybe.
Bye.
Bye.